Oh, wrong feed. Well, that was a brilliant start to commentary life, wasn't it? By clicking the wrong overlay. Anyway, I am the Pink Pig, and you are here. Good evening, and welcome back once again to Formula Racing League. I am joined by the Flying Scotsman. No, not the train, but Dirty Derek himself, and I'm sure you're looking forward to some furious racing action. Say hello, Derek.
Hello, Derek.
There we go. We've managed to time that one perfectly. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm alright. Just moseying on.
Good. We are getting ready for round one of this hugely anticipated first race of the British Touring Car Championship. Well, Btcc. We're not allowed to call it the other name because we might get told off by someone. So we are here for the first round of the, I don't know, banger. And my game seems to have crashed, or was that someone joining the server? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was Teddy going back to the pits after he crashed and then just took his ball around their lap, bounced the wall.
Well, currently, my game has literally frozen. Oh. Now we're back in. Now we're back in the game.
Yes.
That's all my scripts getting absolutely destroyed, isn't it?
Yes.
So let's try and find. There we go. We got. We'll go on board with Dan Davis for a little bit. What's the thing? Best laid plans of mice and men often go wrong. Anyway, the format which we have this evening is qualifying, which is going to be for 10 minutes, race 1, which is going to be 20 minutes, another race 2, and then for the finale, race 3. The grid for race 2 is the finishing position of race 1, and race 3 is the reverse grid of race 2, of the finishing positions of race 2 at a random point between 6 and 15. I am reliably told that Tom, or Techie Tom as he's known, has a little spinning wheel that picks that number between 6 and 15, and we'll hopefully get that information relayed to us between race 2 and race 3. The cars which we have on track are going to be the BMW, the Cupra Leon, the Ford Focus ST, the Honda Civic Type R, the Hyundai i30, and the Toyota Corolla. So a huge variety of cars tackling this wonderful, wonderful circuit. The circuit itself is Brands Hatch Indy. So basically, they've got Brands Hatch and they've cut it into a third, and they're going to try and get as many cars as possible around that circuit. So we start off with the Brandon Straight, go into Paddock Hill Bend, into Halliwoods Hill, through Druids, down through the Graham Hill Bend, along the Cooper Straight into Surtees. This is where the track changes. Instead of taking a left, you go through McLaren, into Clearways, onto the Clark Curve, and that is one very, very, very quick lap at Brands Hatch Indy. What's your feelings on this circuit then, Derek?
I actually like it. I've not been able to drive it yet, but I have seen they do the time trials and things on this circuit as well.
Yeah.
It's a very fast flowing track. The only time you really slow down is when you take the hairpin into second corner. That's the only time you really would slow right down. You've got no other area other than that, do you? Think, Eric?
No, well, Brands Hatch as a track itself is quick. It's always quite flowy. You never get a break at Brands Hatch, and this one just kind of amplifies that by 10 times. You don't even have that straight after Surtees to give yourself a bit of a relax. You are constantly on the go for the entire 47 seconds you're going around this track. So it's going to be something to look forward to. We've got 19 drivers already in the server. We have just over 45 seconds left until qualifying. I think that's another driver potentially joining as well. And that's why my computer wants to cry every time someone joins. I found out some interesting facts, as I tried to, about the circuit beforehand. So in the mid-1920s, the land where Brands Hatch now resides was a disused mushroom field. A group of cyclists saw its hilly terrain and decided to use it as a bicycle track, cutting dusty pathways in the field to ride on. Cross-country runners got into the action too, and there was even a riders versus runners race. Brands Hatch plays host to championships not just on 4 wheels but 2 wheels as well. You've got the British Superbikes, British Touring Car Championship, and also the World GT Championships. So a lot of action on this circuit all year, well, pretty much all year round, apart from when it rains, which is quite a lot in Britain. Oh, we are almost at that point where we're going to see what these drivers are really made of. Who's your favourites going into this?
I think David Goodway, if he has a good start, he'll be good. He's been at the top of most of the races up to now.
Yeah.
You can't count out Marco Keddy or Nico Veltman. Those two I know are quick.
But
the two new guys, Johns and Ivanov, I don't know them well enough to say, but they're up there at the moment. Huh?
So Ivanov raced in ACC for quite a period of time, so I'm quite familiar with that name. Johns I've not really heard from. Heard from previously. Barry Dunn looked pretty quick in some of the practice sessions. David Goodway, yes, he's a 10-time Formula Racing League champion, and he's looking to add 11th trophy to his already growing collection. Marco Keddy, well, we all know Marco is...
Focus merchant, isn't it?
Sorry?
He's just a focus merchant. When he puts his mind to it, he does it.
Yeah, and I think he's actually practiced for this as well.
Oh, really? I liked how when we met up at Donington, Dave says he doesn't do much of it.
But he has done something like 90 laps. I know they're not very long laps here at Brands Hatch Indy, but he has put in 90 laps right the circuit in practice. Nico Veltman, we know his pace, the Flying Dutchman. He's just absolutely rapid. I'm hoping Techie Tom has a good race, and I'm also hoping that Alan Brown, and I'm hoping all drivers have a good race, but those ones in particular, Alan Brown and Sergio Azario, have a nice, clean race.
Like you said, you hope I have a good race.
Turn your mic up, I can't really hear you.
Nico surprised me a number of times. If he could put in more practice, I think he would be a whole lot faster. Because he would come in and say, I don't know this practice. By the time practice and qualifying was done, he was on the ball. He was pushing for first, second, third position.
Yeah, he's had some. We've had quite a lot of practice and pre-season races round on rFactor over the last couple of weeks, and he's been enjoying himself with Neil Woodward, a driver's name which I don't actually see on the track at the moment, so that's a shame. But already top of the tree, we got David Goodway with 47.1, Tito Ivanov just under 9 tenths behind, Marco Keddy just over 9 tenths behind, and we got Veltman 1 second behind, Federico Pegogorio 1.1 seconds behind, and Marcin Marel 1.2 seconds behind as well. So that gap has just shrunk actually. Tito's now gone to just over half a second behind David Goodway. So we're going to see how that gap develops. Is it going to shrink or is it going to get bigger? Massimiliano Ferrari, he is in. I want to see what car he's in. He is in a Cupra. It says Vauxhall. Yeah, it says Vauxhall, but then it says Cupra, so I think that's quite misleading. It's a shame.
He's on for another fastest lap right now. At 1:47.170.
Yeah, he's just going through the final. No, he's just. Oh no, Tito Ivanov.
Tito's just done it. Yeah, Tito's just gone faster. That's what it was.
Yeah, so Tito Ivanov has
5.
Yeah, so Tito Ivanov has put in a 47.1. David Goodway is just 5 thousandths of a second behind Tito. So that is an absolute epic lap by Tito. Nico Veltman now goes into 3rd place. Yeah, and Marco Kelly 4th. Yet to set a lap times at Dan Davis, Alan Palmer and Tom. I'm really hoping that Tom is actually in the server. Oh, he is in the server, but I'm hoping that he's not provided technical support and he's actually going to get some laps on, because he has done...
He's still providing technical support with Michael trying to get him in the server when he looks.
It's a shame, because you don't... Tom has been absolutely amazing in the background and in the foreground as well, trying to make sure that this event starts. We've had some challenges put in place with the settings of the server changing and things like that. So Dan Davis has now popped himself into 12th. He's just going around turn 1 sideways, a little bit squealy in his Toyota.
I think Tom's when it comes to helping everybody out, I think he needs to have cut off so they can get practice.
Yeah, I think I think he just needs to have that time window of half an hour. Where if you haven't solved your problem by then, sorry. The server has been up for a considerable amount of time, as we're seeing Tito Ivanov battling through cars to try and set laps. He's just overtaken 2 cars coming out of turn 1 into Druids, so he is doing his best to try and get some clear track position to be able to improve on this 47.1. He knows that Dave Goodway is going to be desperately searching for any millimetre which he can get, or millisecond that he can get to get closer to Tito. That is such a close gap between those 2 drivers at the moment. Ooh, just looking at Anthony Johns coming out of the pits. He's stayed inside the white lines and actually stopped as well to hopefully allow cars, but that was a whisker away from being absolutely walloped out before he'd even managed to leave the pits. That could have been a wrist breaker.
Look, there is quite a few of the tracks. This is probably one of the worst ones I can think of, where the engines attack the track pit lane.
Yeah, Donington Park's another one as well, where the braking zone for turn 1 is the pit exit.
Well, see, with Donington, you're actually at a point where if you see someone coming out of the pit, you can brake a little bit.
Yeah.
And you stop yourself from hitting it. When it comes to Brands Hatch, you're at a point when you finally see someone coming out of the pit, you're at the point where you're going to be braking too late. You're committing to the corner and the speed that you're at. It's a case of try and go around the outside of them, hope they stay to the inside, and just kiss your arse.
So, computer's frozen, so I'm assuming somebody's about to come in. Mark Stewart has managed to get in.
Yeah, Mark Stewart has got in.
So we're still waiting for Michael Elms by the looks of things. I'm not sure what issues he is having. Just on board, just looking at Chris Jones at the moment. He's in 8th place, 1.1 seconds behind, and he's going sideways. He's managed to not spin out massively, but the tyres will be a little bit hot. Also,
Tom Brunel is now out on track.
Good news. That is very, very good.
Looks like they couldn't get Michael work.
Well, that's bad news.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It is a shame. Server issues are a bit of a nightmare, but I would always say, if you're going to be involved in a race, try and get on a bit earlier. I know it's not always possible.
Yeah.
But if you get on earlier, it gives you much more time to get problems solved. And 9 times out of 10, if you've not solved the issue within about an hour, it's probably not solved that night.
Yeah. I completely agree. We're just on board with Tito now as he's just going round for another lap. He's going through Druids. It's the car parked sideways. He was fortunately managed to return to garage into the braking zone for the Graham Hill bend onto the Cooper straight. He's going to manage to keep control of it. He's going to have a little bit of a slipstream as they go into 30s. It's 5/10 down from first sector, so this is not going to be an improvement. 800ths down in the second sector, so I don't think this is going to be a time change, but he still does have that gap in front to Tito Ivanov, to Dave Goodway by 5 thousandths of a second. Looking to see if Techie Tom is indeed on track. He is.
Yes, he's on his third lap now.
He's on his third lap, is he? So he's in sector 1, he was 2.3 seconds down. Sector 2, 1.1 second down. But at least this hopefully should be a valid lap for Tom. The target time is that 47.1, as you can see. That was a 51.9. So that's improved his time, but he's still 4 seconds off as he goes through turn 2, loses control of the car, and hits Marco. It looked like they both had the same issue there, where they lost the car in the second turn and then unfortunately met the wall of death. So let's have a look at Sergio then. Is he gonna? He's on an out lap at the moment. He has Chris Jones, I think, in front of him.
Yeah, well, you've done that. I'm just on a quick development and working my way through the grid.
Yeah, the only bad thing from my perspective, I can't see if people are going purple or not on laps. So it's just a case of randomly clicking around.
Yeah,
and hoping for the best. So Dave Goodway is now back at top of the tree with a 47.003, just under 2 tenths quicker than Tito now. Dave Goodway is on a bit of a cool down lap, potentially preparing for another onslaught of this Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Tito Ivanov has just started another lap as he goes into the braking zone. Does have traffic, which is holding him up slightly. He needs to be careful because you're not meant to overtake in qualifying as per the wonderful rule book. So he potentially needs to think about backing off, which he has done. He's going to try and warm up those tyres by the looks of things. So he has indeed backed off, and he's going for a bit of a prep lap at the moment.
I think looking at qualifying things, obviously the race is a little different, but if you go by of the qualifying times, there will be a fight for first place between Tudor and Dave, and then it'll be a fight between about 3rd to 7th, playing 3rd place, and then we get to the realms of the normal people, and then down the bottom, I would be way down there next to Tom and Tom playing in the background.
I'll probably be joining you as well. I am sad that I'm not partaking in this, but it is a great opportunity for Formula Racing League to hopefully get this event out there. rFactor 2 has surprised me of how good it is. There are some teething issues with servers, but we're doing our best to muddle through. So Kelly has gone through sector 1 and he's half a second down on where he needs to be. He's already 7 tenths of a second, and then he's lost another 3 tenths of a second, and he's now getting into a little bit of traffic. So now jumping on board with Marcin Morel as he goes to start an outlap. What?
There's 5 people crashing out at the first corner.
Well, that's not going to be good news for Marcin, who's just about to approach turn 1. As you got an Infinity running wide into the braking zone. He's got Marco just behind him as well. The one problem with this track, with more than 2 cars on it, is you're going to encounter traffic.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's not a long lap, it's very, very short.
Well, 47 seconds.
47 to 50 seconds. But the thing is, it wasn't a big mad, that's a big crash or anything. It was just 4 people, 5 people got together.
Yeah.
And everybody stopped in the same spot, so you can walk in the whole road. And it doesn't take long for all the cars on the grid to come round.
No. So Marcin does a 49.0, so that is a little bit of an improvement. He moves up to P7. We currently got Kelly, Rudolph, Louis, Brizzle and Palmer all in the pits. Are they going to get, and Ferrari's dived into the pits as well, are they going to get one more lap? We're going to jump on board with Dave and we're going to have a little bit of a tour of the circuit as he goes into the braking zone for turn 1, holds, brings it across to the right hand side, try and let the car drift over to the outside time and get the throttle on, look for the bridge for the braking zone into Druid, hold tight, or do you do the V line? Dave has decided to go for the tight line, heading down the hill into Graham's Hill Bend, touch the curb on the right hand side, breeze the curb on the left hand side, and try not to abuse track limits on the right hand side on the exit along the Cooper Straight, bring it over to the left hand side for Surtees, bring it back over to the right hand side for clearways, and patience on the throttle. There's no patience there from Dave. He's currently almost a tenth of a second up already, having the slipstream from the car in front. Is this going to be an improvement yet again from Dave Goodway? And for P1 it is indeed. Wow, indeed. That is an epic lap, and I'm so pleased we managed to get it on board of it. I think he might need a little breather before the race. Tito has pushed and pushed and pushed. He just couldn't blow the house down. That is... but he does possibly have one more lap in him. It's 14 seconds left of qualifying. Tito's just going across the start-finish line now. So we're going to have another little bit of a ride on board of it. He needs to get 0.4 of a second from somewhere. Is he going to push too hard? Checking flag is down.
It looked like he was doing a cool down lap before this one started.
He is, but every time he seems to get on board with Tito, there's traffic.
Yes, he's up already.
Yeah, he's up by half a tenth. He struggled to get the power down there coming out of Graham Hill Bend. Through Surtees. He's bouncing, he is up. I don't think this is going to be enough. He needs an amazing exit, and that's not going to help him.
Not going to help.
That's not going to help him. Is this going to be an improvement?
No, it'll be an improvement on his first run, maybe. Yeah, it is an improvement.
Is it?
It's not enough. It's 300 short.
300 short, and all that time was lost in that final sector, that final corner.
It was. He had it. He had it definitely, and he just back in, swapped out on him.
Yeah, we're just Martin Morel has finished his lap as J Max. I'm not sure if J Mac is doing a practice lap or he's just about to finish his lap. He is currently 1.9 seconds down from his personal best time, and he just decides to carry on going straight through the final corner. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, your first grid for race 1 of the Btcc. Brought to you by Formula Racing League. Our starting grid is going to be Tom Brunel in 19th place, J Mac in 18th place, Philip Hargez in 17th. Then you've got Barry Dunn, Alan Palmer, Alan Brown, Mark Stewart, Sergio Azario, Dan Davis in P11. Louis is in P10. Then you've got Rudolph in 9th, Martin Morel in 8th, Marco Kelly in 7th, Chris Jones in 6th, Federico Pergaro in P5, Anthony Johns places himself in P4. Your top 3 drivers are Nico Veltman, Tidor Ivanov and David Goodway in P1. That is your starting grid for race 1 as the drivers prepare to line up on the grid for a very tight and difficult lap 1 of Brands Hatch Indy. Derek's gone for a wee, and I'm sure he'll be back shortly, but we are on your marks, get set, and we are go for race 1. Terrible start from David Goodway. He's been overtaken by multiple cars on the start-finish line, and he is being absolutely swamped from that poor start. We're going to try and jump on board with T.O. Ivanov as we go through turn 1. He is being... Nobody is near him as well. Nico Veltman is right behind him, but Dave Goodway is all the way back in 8th place, now 7th place. Remember, we do have push to pass available for these drivers. There will be an energy percentage given to them which they can use for that lap. Nico Veltman is challenging Tidor Ivanov as they go through sector 2. Up through the start-finish line. We're looking at Nico Veltman, Anthony Johns and Federico in 4th. Chris Jones has managed to promote himself to 5th place. Marco Kelly in 6th. Louis in 7th. Dan Davis 8th. Rudolfo 9th. Sergio Azario in 10th. A little bit twitchy from Tito on the braking zone. We're going to have a look at Nico going to potentially go full send into Druids. No move made there. He's going to try and get it on the exit. This is Infinity versus BMW Power. Are you back? Nope, he is not back. Let's have a look at Chris Jones. He's currently in the middle of Federico and Kelly. As you can see, the beautiful FR livery slightly from Federico as he approaches the start-finish line. We do have 20 cars all on track. New best lap time by Tidor Ivanov. Federico being overtaken by Chris Jones into the braking zone. Chris Jones bounces across the curb and then runs very, very wide. That's not going to be the quickest line through there, and definitely not going to be the quickest way to take on this lap by bouncing into the walls. Tidor Ivanov has the lead from Nico Veltman, as you can see, in 2nd place. Then we've got Anthony Johns residing in 3rd place. That is your top 3 drivers. We're trying to look at the gap to the leader. Decent gap between Anthony Johns and Marco Kelly. We're on board with Anthony Johns and Hyundai, trying to chase down Nico Veltman. Tidor Ivanov's managed to get himself a little bit of space. That is the fastest lap of the race so far with 47.4. Nico Veltman's tyres squealing in front of him in that BMW as he gets a bit twitchy on the exit of turn 1 into Druids. Again, locking up his brakes. That's not going to do the tyre longevity any favours whatsoever. Here is Dan Davis looking at the back of Federico. Has Chris Jones still behind him? So despite Chris meeting the wall and pronouncing death, he is still up and running. We've got Tom Brunel and Barry Dunn all in, both in the pits at the moment. Jay Mack is a bit disjointed from the field. Who is that going wide? Is that Nico Veltman? Yes. Hello, Derek. Welcome back.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. You missed the start of the race.
Yeah, but it does seem like I missed a lot. Dave is down the bottom.
Yeah, so Dave Goodway had an absolute terrible start and just could not get going off the start line, and my computer doesn't like looking at things from a distance. It wants to cry. So fastest lap of the race put in by Dan Davis, which we jump on board with now as he's chasing down Marco Kelly. That was a 47.3. Tidor's fastest lap is a 47.4. Anthony Johns is in the hunt as well. So we have kind of a massive extended battle for the battle for Kelly, Dan Davis and Federico. And Dan Davis slides up the inside of Marco Kelly as they go in through the final corner. Anthony Johns sets the fastest lap of the race with a 47.3. He's now going to try and chase down Marco Kelly as they go Tidor Ivanov as they go side by side through turn 1 into Druids. Kelly's going to try and look at the inside. Dan Davis defends. We know Dan from Assetto Corsa Competizione. I remember he had an absolutely fantastic race once upon a time at Paul Richard, where he went very, very long in terms of the strategy. So he obviously has the patience. Does he have the patience to keep Kelly, Federico behind him for this race?
We started doing a couple of hot laps where his of course pace.
Yeah,
he fell back now.
He did fall back, and
I know he had a wee off at the gravel just after Tom won. He ended up knocking back and knocking off his brakes.
The tyre squealing is an interesting thing. They do enjoy a little bit of a cry through turn 1 and turn 2. As we're trying to look at this battle for 4th place between Dan Davis, Kelly and Federico. Federico, a new name to us here at FRL, but it's nice to see him on track as he gets the perfect view to see what happens between the 737 car and Dan Davis in front. There's just 0.6 of the seconds separating these 3 drivers at the moment on a very, very short racing circuit. So we've had already 6 minutes of this race. I know you missed the start. I don't know what you were doing. I hope you were playing with yourself in the corner. But what have you made of it so far?
Annoyed me.
Huh?
Somebody came to the door to annoy me. So, from what I've seen so far, I haven't managed to get it. But other than Dave Goodway, it seems to be going the way I was expecting. John just kind of popped up above Nico, which I wasn't expecting, but definitely, as I said, third through seventh is always going to be great force.
Yes, absolutely.
I've noticed that Marco is faster in sector 1 than Dan, but Dan starts, they're about equal in the second one, but Dan is much quicker in that first sector. That's what's causing Fed's problems.
Yeah, so the only potential overtaking point is in that last sector into turn 1. So we're just looking at Dave Goodway at the moment. So qualified in P1, currently in P14, and trying to chase down Alan Brown in 13th. We've got a little bit of a... So we've already got Felipe Cagas and Barry Dunn, who have unfortunately had to retire. But Dave Goodway is going to have to try and fight his way back through the field to ensure a good grid position for race 2.
Oh, I've just realised Sergio's at mid-table.
Yeah.
Seeing him closer to the front.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So he is just sitting behind Mark Stewart at the moment by just under a second. So Tito's managed to get himself into a position of relative comfort. It just looked like Dave completely missed the beeps at the start line. We will try and catch up with him between race 1 and race 2 and see what happens.
Tom Brunel getting past by the Beatles now.
So it's already, the drivers are already starting to lap. Yeah, so you can see, yeah, Tom's moved out of the way nicely and he's run actually extremely wide. He needs to be careful that he keeps control of the car before Marco appears. He drives straight across the front of Marco. And Marco is indeed in front of Dan Davis at the moment. So
yeah, although Dan Davis is going to try and push it so much quicker out of that last corner.
He is.
All the advantage down that straight. I'm not sure if that's going to be a car.
Well, Tom is finding it extremely difficult at the moment to stay out of the way of all these drivers absolutely flying through. So it's to jump on board with Dave, going to make a move down into Druids on Alan Brown, which it looks like he's managed to make stick, and he has. So car number 34 will potentially look at his next challenge, which is this fellow Arrive and Drive driver Sergio Azario.
Yeah, their teammates up.
Yes.
Well, not teammates on rFactor, huh?
No, not.
I'd expect Sergio to do a bit of a challenge, huh?
Yeah, absolutely he will. So there's a fight for P7 by the looks of things between Rudolph and Chris Jones. If you keep an eye on how that gap closes between Sergio and Dave.
Rudolph and Morel through that fight now. Just going. Chris Jones is in the Infinity.
Yes.
Blue and yellow.
And Rudolph and Martin are going side by side through the final corner. This is all going to be about, well, bravery. Into the braking zone for turn 1. It looks as though Martin has managed to get the position, and indeed he has. He had the inside line, remained confident that Rudolph wasn't going to destroy him, and made that move stick as they go through Druids.
So Jones has managed to do stuff. He's right behind Dan now, Dan Davies.
Yeah.
He's fell back. And now Nico has taken over that place behind Rudolph.
Yeah, so
he's currently fighting Davies for possession, which is let Teddy kind of pull away some. So we missed what happened up there. That must have been an off or something, because that he's lost 4 positions there.
Yeah, and it looks as though in the battle for P.
Michael Stewart and Oz are having a good battle as well down in 11th, 12th. Oh, Oz lost it at the grass and took out Mark Stewart. Oh, big tumbles into the fence.
Oh yeah, and Mark Stewart was upside down. He's just now managed to get back on to his onto 4 wheels, but I don't think it's gonna be a successful ending for Mark Stewart there, unfortunately.
So that all came from Sergio was up on the inside, and just as it came into turn 1, he hit a tyre on the grass, and it flipped him off into Mark's path. Neither of them could have done it at that point. That's unfortunate for Sergio and Mark.
It is indeed.
Carry on. That gives Dave an extra place.
Well, it gave him an extra 2 places because Sergio also got overtaken. It has also promoted Alan Brown to P12.
Yeah, Randolph and Bourne are now overtaken Chris Jones. He looks like he's starting to struggle maybe on time.
I'm going to have to, in the break between races, I'm going to have to figure out what's happening with my PC because it is crying. And I'm not entirely sure why, but it is very, very glitchy. Yeah, interesting. I might need the techie Derek's assistance for the gap between. But the same was happening when I was playing.
There's Chris Jones has just spun out. So Morel gets that top.
Yes. Was that spun out by himself, or?
Yeah, he just attacked the corner a bit too hard. Back edge flipped out on him. Got Davies now up on Nico Veltman. Keddy is taking Veltman.
Oh, so Keddy's now managed to get himself up into P2 then?
Yeah, so Keddy's pulled himself up into P2 by about 8 tenths. Davies is 3 tenths behind, so this battle will start to heat up for second. I would say fast, but he's a good 4 seconds ahead. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah. I'll apologise for our viewers who get in I apologise for any viewers who are currently watching a very glitchy stream. I'm just in the process of closing down as many background applications as I possibly can close down without actually accidentally closing down the game.
I love how you wait until we're halfway through a race and we're about to close down some applications.
Yeah. And anyone who knows me knows that I have about 59 tabs of Excel open at any given moment, so...
Oh, you honestly don't close them down before you start doing it?
No.
Yeah, you need to. You're just not processing as RAM. I'd imagine it's probably your processing stuff. Yeah, you really need to, especially if you want to do stuff intensive like rFactor.
Yeah.
I've never figured out how rFactor works.
No, so we are looking at Nico Veltman under pressure from Dan Davis. Dan Davis has climbed through the field very, very quickly. So we're going to go on, well, we have no other choice but to go on board with Dan Davis because as soon as we go on track side, it's just what my PC wants to cry. So Dan Davis into the braking zone of turn 1. We've got 5 minutes left in this race. We've already had 15 minutes of racing action. We will have a short break between race 1 and race 2.
The only other battle I see on track at the moment is close is 7th and 8th place, which is Morel and Barod.
So Nico's made a bit of a mistake, which is allowing Dan Davis to crawl all over the back of him. Nico manages to position his car well to make sure he keeps the pace, but going through our last sector, Dan was extremely quick through there in the back with Marco earlier, but seems to gain a little bit of place over Nico into turn 1. The braking zone of turn 1, Nico's tyres squealing. You can see the smoke coming off them as they go into the exit. Nico runs slightly wide as they approach Druid's corner. Again, Nico locks up his right tyres, the redundant tyres, as all the weight is going to the left-hand side of the car into Graham Hill Bend.
I'll keep an eye on 7th and 8th, like, if anything progresses.
Yes, because that's Martin and Rudolph.
Yeah.
Oh, Dan Davis goes a little bit onto the green stuff, thinking about making a move up the inside. The door closes pretty quickly. Again, Dan Davis with an interesting line through that last corner. Again, those tyres. If this race was any longer than 20 minutes, I think Nico might be driving around on wheel rims. Or we're definitely shaking out any fittings that he has, but we're sitting on board with Dan Davis, challenging Nico Veltman for that 3rd place on the podium. Lock up on the left-hand tyres this time from Nico, driving onto a bit of the mud with the right-hand tyres. Dan Davis gets a good exit as they start to approach 30s once more over the grass on the right-hand side into the braking zone for the final corner.
Just so you know, that battle, because you're not on track, has got John's into the mix. He's 4 tenths behind that.
Yes.
So it's a 3-way battle for
So we can see the three-wheel battle for the 3rd place. We've got Dan Davis just 3 tenths behind. Anthony Johns just under 3 tenths behind Dan Davis. So we've got Infinity, Toyota, Hyatt, Hyundai. In that fight, Dan breaks a little bit later, and again Nico closes the door as they start to go through turn 1. You can get an idea of the relentlessness of this circuit and how it just does not stop. There's so much steering input being put into the entire lap.
As Goodwin's got himself up 10.
Oh, Dan Davis is on the inside. Is he going to make the move down the start-finish straight? Earlier on we saw a battle. Oh no, he's backed off a little bit, or Nico had a bit more of the run around the outside. Sorry to interrupt you, Derek. Sorry, go on.
Everyone's getting to see what you're watching. I'll just keep you up to date on battles elsewhere, and you can have a look at them if you like. Sorry, what I was saying was Dave Goodway has gotten up to 10th. He's in a battle with Alan Palmer from 9th place now. 17th.
Yeah, we'll try and get a little bit of a look at that, because that gap is between Martin, Rudolph, Palmer and Goodway. Well, no, Palmer's dropped back a bit from from Rudolph again. Nico runs very, very wide through that last corner. He's going to have more time to get the power down. Anthony Johns is a very interested onlooker into this fight. One mistake by either of these two drivers, he's going to get a podium. But at the moment, Dan Davis wants that 3rd place. Nico Veltman gets a little bit tipped on the rear end, but manages to keep control of the car. Dan Davis backs off slightly. Anthony Johnson still wants to get at least a 4th place from witness in death. We've got just over a minute left of this first race.
Yeah, I would say with the battle you're on, it's a close battle, battle as well. Don't believe Dave Goodway's got time. Oh, he's just shaved so much time off that. So right on the back end of Palmer again.
We will potentially have one more lap left after this. We've got 40 seconds left, and Keddy has now brought that gap to a second on Tito in front. Dan Davis breaks across the front of Anthony Johns. So Dan Davis was the hunter. He's now going to be the hunted from Anthony Johns. Although Dan Davis looks at the inside of Nico Veltman, no move to be made there once again. So that BMW, that Infinity, is remaining very large in front of the Toyota of Dan Davis as they go into 30s.
That's a humongous car. That's Dave Goodway just got power.
I think this is going to be the end of the race. So Tito Ivanov will come across the line to win race 1, and that was a terrific race from him. Marco Keddy in 2nd place. Dan Davis is going to just pick Nico Veltman. Oh, Fernando Alonso versus Sergio Perez all over again. Dan Davis gets third, Nico Veltman 4th, Anthony Johns in 5th.
Yeah, Dan Davies, that last corner, he's got it nailed in that corner. He knows where he needs to be at, what he needs to get a little bit quick.
Federico claims 6th place. Martin Morel will claim 7th. Rudolfo 8th. Goodway gets 9th. Palmer drops to 10th. Alan Brown 11th. Chris Jones 12th. Louis in 14th, Massimiliano Ferrari in 15th, and then we got Jack Mack, Tom Brunel, Mark Stewart, and our unfortunate DNFs are Felipe and Barry Dunn. The observant viewers will be able to tell I'm losing my voice. I will be back in 2 seconds, and I'll leave you with some music. Right, so we are back, ladies and gentlemen. I've done my best to try and sort out the audio. I've had a look at some of the comments that were in the in the stream. We're getting our drivers back into the grid, ready for race 2. So yes, Derek's going to make himself a coffee. I've made myself a juice, and hopefully I can breathe for the entire of race 2. Remember, the finishing positions of race 1 will be the grid for race 2. as we got some cars preparing the engine. We got 17 cars back in the track. Remember, no qualifying for this segment of the race. So yes, we're all ready and raring to go for race 2 of 3. So this is our second race, as mentioned. It's going to be a reverse. It's going to be the same grid as the finishing positions from race 1. So Tito Ivanov will be in first, Keddy will be in second, Dan Davis will be in third. Looking at some of the chat, so Phil Atherton, go Dan Davis for the win. Dan Dickon says, shout out to my little bro Louis G. Mark GG, evening chaps, YI man. KE Hodges, no, this is rFactor 2. And hopefully the sound is a little bit better ready for this race. So drivers are now back on track, so Dave Goodway will be hoping for a much better start to his second race. We're going to keep an eye on Tito Ivanov with Keddy behind, Dan Davis in third place. We've got 3, 2, 1. Here go the beeps. And we are ready to go. This once again, Tito Ivanov gets a fantastic start with Marco Keddy in second place. My game really does not like the start of computer does not like the start of races. So Dan Davis gets into second place. Then Marco Keddy is in third, with Nico Veltman fourth, Anthony Johns fifth, Marcin Morel in sixth place, Rudolph in fifth. That was a good move from Nico Veltman, but I thought Nico was gone then. He is not.
Not Nico? Yeah, that's Nico. It's gone.
Is it? It was Nico Veltman that went. He is now back into 14th place. He has a considerable gap to in 11th place. He has a considerable gap to Louis in front, and then got Chris Jones in 9th, Sergio Azario in 8th place. Dave Goodway managed to jump all the way up into 7th place. Is challenging Rudolph for the fight into turn 1. He looks as though he's managed to get the jump in and has moved up into 6th place. So that was a very keen early move from Dave Goodway on lap 1. Did you manage to catch the start this time?
No, again I missed that. What happened to the 5 minutes? It just kind of started, didn't it?
Well, the 5 minutes was me running off to make a drink whilst I gained my voice back, and then deleted some applications off my PC, and it's still not smooth. So I think
I came in just as the very there's just 4 guys involved in that one. That's Randolph, Chris Jones. There's just a whole bunch of them. I can't remember all the names off.
Yeah, so I can see Rudolph. Rudolph's managed to get up and running again. Chris Jones is one of those drivers involved as well.
Yeah, 4 or 5 cars.
Yeah, so there, Massimiliano Ferrari has gone into the pits. Alan Brown has DNF'd. So we have Tito and Dan Davis at the front of the grid. Marco Keddy in 3rd place. Anthony Johns 4th. Goodway all the way back up into 5th place. So he's been massively on the charge. Louis and Nico Veltman in this fight for 6th place. Nico taking that V line through the last corner is very risky when you've got a car in front of you.
Alan Brown's DNF.
Yeah, so Alan Brown's DNF. We got Federico has gone into the pits as well to repair some damage. Ferrari is 2 laps down, but all credit to him is on the track. As well, this as soon as you port to the pits in this game, it doesn't stick you there for 3 minutes. It just automatically marks you as a DNF. So on board with Nico Veltman bouncing across the curbs, we've got a fight for P2 between Dan Davis and Keddy, but that gap has increased slightly. So it's 0.7 of a second at the moment, or half a second through turn 1. So That's where Marco is gaining into Druids. Going to be crawling over the back of them.
Goodwin is all over the back of Johns at the moment, trying to get past him.
So yeah, you can see that fight on screen as well. So Dave Goodway in that Ford against the Hyundai of Anthony John. So Anthony showed great pace in race 1. Tidor showed greater pace in T1 in race 1, so this fight could be an interesting one, shall we say. Dave has been quite keen to get some of these moves made as early as possible and then can go challenging for those podium positions, but Anthony is not going to be a driver that's going to give up easy, although run slightly wide through turn 1. Dave has the inside line into Druids, into the braking zone, definitely has the inside line, the tighter line, little bit of contact, but that move is being stuck. The stamp was licked and that has been sent in the post. So now we have the
rest of the grid. We've got Sergio Was,
yeah, so Sergio is.
Tom Brunel is fighting Chris Jones for. He's just taking Chris Jones for 12.
Well, that's good to see Tom coming through the field. So Dan Davis is looking at the inside of Tidor, as we can see the top 3 drivers all separated by less than a second at the moment into Druids. Dan is a lot quicker through that opening sector than most drivers, but then as the track continues to flow through its very few turns and even less straights, the drivers behind seem to catch up, but Dan's now dropped down to 0.8 of a second between first and second.
Yeah, Teddy's back on, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that threat is definitely coming from behind rather than being the threat in front.
Teddy's probably noticed Dave Goodwin pushing up 4 places already, cut the time out of them. So maybe putting a wee quick kick on to get in front. So they're coming up to a lot of traffic right now.
Yeah, that was car number 12.
Yeah, he jumped out the way, didn't
he? He did definitely jumped out of the way. And then we got the fight in for P10 between, Sergio was just kind of pulled away from Barry Dunn, who's got Chris Jones half a second behind, Tom Brunel 9/10 further back, as you can just see in the distance. But this is the fight for 11th between Barry Dunn and Christopher Jones. We've also got Felipe Chagas has also had a DNF. Federico is 5 laps down, but still going in 17. Oh, Barry Dunn's lost it. He's coming back onto the track. Hold your brakes. Oh, that was so. Oh no! Don't do that.
Have a look at that.
Barry Dunn lost it going through.
You said Barry Jones, and I'm like, hang on, we've got 2 people there.
Barry Dunn lost it just before going into 30s. Bounced off the wall, came back through the track, tried to turn it round, and ended up almost taking about 3 drivers out. And now he was just bouncing across the grass. He's also got a penalty applied for track limit, so this race is starting to go bad to worse as the top 3 drivers come through to lap him. He's also now
on the grass now,
bouncing across the curbs. I'm just going to hope and pray that nobody gets collected as collateral damage, but we're back for the battle for 2nd place between Dan Davis and Marco Keddy. So just a 1/10 of a second separating these 2 drivers. They're trading pint as they're going up through Surtees and through clearways, and the last couple of corners of this lap you can see Tidor 1.7 seconds in front, just going through some more lap traffic. Do you know what? I've drank so much juice today, all I want to do is pee. But then as soon as I started commentating, my mouth just dried up and I couldn't get any words out towards the end of that first race. So kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place at the moment of what to do. Is that the notification every time I say I want to pee on your phone?
Oh no. What
So,
no idea what that is.
a fight between first and second. You've got Dave looking to close in on these. He's lurking in the background, as well as Anthony Johns. But Dan Davis is holding firm in second place at the moment. First place has just absolutely disappeared. Nico Veltman has had a DNF. Federico has also had a DNF, so that's 15 downwards have all sadly lost their positions in the race due to mechanical failures, should we say. But this is our closest fight on track at the moment between Dan and Keddy, and I've got a funny feeling it won't be long until this turns into a freeway. Is there anything else on track for you at the moment, Derek?
Nothing that I'm seeing at the moment. It's all pretty calm, collected. The closest battle is the one that you're watching with Marco Keddy. Everybody else is about a second off each other. The closest one after that would maybe be Louis and Marcel Morel. It's bouncing between half a second and a second. That. Not much for that, my friend.
No, so Barry is currently 2 laps down. Massimiliano Ferrari is 3 laps down from the leaders. The rest of the cars all still on the same lap, although Tom in 12th is a couple of seconds from being lapped. And then the traffic gets a bit more hectic. So you got Rudolph just a couple of seconds up the road from him. So these two just don't want to be separated. For the last couple of laps, just having a look, last lap from Dan Davis is a 47.6. Keddy did a 47.3. The fastest laps are about a second and a half as Keddy goes up the inside into Druids and now into... oh, Dan squeezed him. He squeezed him. He definitely squeezed him. Made Marco bounce onto the grass, and he manages to retain the position. Was that legal?
I think Keddy might be mumbling some words under his breath at that one. But I think it's just aggressive. It is fair, aggressive. The British touring cars are Keddy now is going to go look at the inside through turn 1, and that one looks to be settled. Is Dan going to try and go for the switchback through to Druids? I don't think so. I don't think he's going to be close enough. He is going to move out of the line to have a look, and no, it looks as though Marco has managed to get P2. Maybe Dan thought he was a bit aggressive last time. He didn't fight for that one that time. So he may have thought he was a bit overly aggressive in the last one and just thought...
In any true racer's mind, does that really come into the equation?
No, well, I have seen it happen a couple of times. It's not often you see it happen. But if you think, oh yeah, I might have done something naughty there, more so than what you actually did.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen.
So we're going to have a look at Louis and Martin in BMW versus Astra action. This gap is separate. This is just a couple of about half a second between the two drivers at the moment. Marco has already managed to pull a second and a half over Dan Davis. Dan's now going to be under threat from David Goodway probably in a lap or two's time. We've got 7.5 minutes left of race 2. Remember, a reverse grid for race 3 on a random place between 6th and 15th. So 6th place is currently Louis, 15th is Federico. So either of those two could find themselves.
Federico fell all the way down his DNF now. Marco Feldman, Federico Joy, Sharks. Alan Brown of all DNF, and Barry Dunn has been...
Yeah, he's been disqualified. I assume that's going to be for track limits. But our leader, and still our leader, is Tidor Ivanov. But a pattern that appeared in race 2 was as soon as Marco got into some free air, his true pace was shown, and now he is right on the back of Tidor, who has not been under pressure for any point during this race. The fastest lap of the race was set last lap by Marco Keddy. He's gone wide through the final corner. He's into the slipstream of the BMW. So this is BMW on BMW action. And no move is going to be made through turn 1. Maybe setting up for Druids, which has been Marco's favourite place to overtake. Although it does allow the opportunity through Graham Hill Bend to reverse that position. They're going to go side by side out of the Druids exit into the Graham Hill Bend.
There's a possibility Keddy's been saving his tyres.
There is. So last lap from Tidor was 0.8 of a second slower than Marco's lap, as Keddy looks to try and trade some paint with the quick fit BMW in front.
I'd have thought Tudor should have, as much of a gap as Tudor had, you'd expect him to be posting that, keep the tyres quite nice, but he may not have. So, I mean, Dave Goodway, he's up there to 4th place. His pace has definitely come off because well, I know he's been using his tyres.
Yeah.
Pushed it hard. Get himself into 4th place to where he would probably be sent to the back end.
Yeah, well, yeah, he could. Yeah, well.
But in his mind, that's still a good thing, I'm sure, because it puts him in front of Tudor, Keddy, and Davies for the push back through the pack. So I'm sure that's not worrying him as much as his idea was to get as far back up and get as many points in this race, because first race was quite dismal for him.
Yeah, well, that first race was just absolutely destroyed by the start line incident, and ever since then he's been trying to play catch up through race 1 and into race 2 as well, as we're still on board with Marco against Tidor going back through Graham Hill. Last lap was 47.9, so these two are still the quickest two drivers on the track. You can see Dan in the background kicking up some dust. Can't live with the pace of these two. He did a 48.4, so 3/10 slower than Marco in second place, who now, as you can see, he's been a little bit held up, but he has to make the move. He's going to try and look around the outside at turn 1 of Tidor into the braking zone. Tidor's potentially going to try and push him wide. No, he doesn't push him wide. Keddy goes wide. I think he tried the entry into that a little too wide this time. Although
he's lost no time through it.
No, he's at the point where he may as well try things.
Yeah. Try everything except kill the man in front.
Yeah, please don't do that.
That's what you want to do. Yeah. There's enough space between Keddy and Davies that he can mess around a bit. There's 4 seconds.
Yeah.
As long as there's nothing involving him crashing or killing someone, he can try whatever he wants. It's not going to affect too much as long as he doesn't lose too much time to them.
Yeah. So just Tidor's got had some squealy tyres there through into turn 1. This time Keddy manages to stay within track limits as they go into the braking zone for Druids. No gaps are opening on the inside of that BMW. I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's tyres.
Yeah, I think Keddy's got the tyres for the end. As I said, you've got to watch out for Keddy. He doesn't get to race as much as he'd like because his job keeps him busy. But I honestly believe Keddy's got the talent and the ability that he could go very, very far if he was able to put the time and effort in that he needs to. Honestly, I tend to think down the list of drivers that we have at high pace. I think if I won the lottery and I decided to buy a GT3 team, who would I actually look at to put in that team from our league? And Keddy's always in the list.
Well, we had an interesting proposition of a blue flag car there, who was Rudolph, I think, has just allowed the 2 drivers to go through, but he almost got in the way of Tidor, which potentially could have caused an interesting proposition. Then we've got Chris Jones as the next lap car that these 2 drivers are potentially going to be going for. Looking at the timing board. There is no other battles on track which are as close as this one, although Keddy has now dropped back a little bit to Tidor as they go in through turn 1.
Yeah, they've got about 2 laps left. 2, maybe 3 laps, so he might just be having a little cool down lap before he goes for his final push on the last lap.
Well, these two, even though they're fighting and they're very close, they're still the fastest 2 drivers on track. So they're doing 48, low 48s. Dan Davis is a 48.2. Goodway's a 48.2 as well.
48.2 as well, so they're not that far off the pace.
No, but if you're considering that they're fighting against each other as well, and they're within a couple of tenths spitting distance between the between the 2 drivers, it's quite impressive they managed to battle like this at this stage of the race and still keep those impressive lap times. I think this might be the last lap. We've got Chris Jones as the car in front of Tidor at the moment. We've got 26 seconds left. I think they crossed the line around 47, 48 seconds. Chris Jones moves out of the way sensibly of these top 2 drivers. Dan Davis is 5.9 seconds behind. So that means one good positive thing for Chris. That means 1 less laps as they go through the final corner onto the start finish straight. 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2, 1, and that Tidor even. Oh! He pipped him! He pipped him!
He got it!
Wow!
He threw everything, the kitchen sink and all at that one, and he took it.
Oh, we've had 2 photo finishes between I think it was Dan and Nico in the last race. This time it was for P1, and Marco Keddy managed to get there somehow. Tidor Ivanov in 2nd place. Then we've got Dan Davis in 3rd, Dave Goodway in 4th place, Anthony Johns in 5th, Louis in 6th place, then Martin Morella in 7th, Mark Stewart 8th, Sergio Azario in 9th place, Chris Jones in 10th, Rudolph in 11th, Tom in 12th, Massimiliano Ferrari, fair play to you, carried on going in 13th, and then an unfortunate DNS from Nico Veltman, Federico Perugaro, Felipe Chagas, Alan Brown, and then a disqualification for Barry Dunn as we approach our final race of the evening. I'll try and get some information to figure out.
Yeah, I was going to say, do the DNFs get, if there's all 15 included, do the DNFs get included to go to the front? Or do they start from the back regardless?
I would say no, but
yeah, I would say they start from the back regardless, but I don't know.
We will check. Yo, push to pass. I'll let you guess who said that.
Oh yeah, they have pushed to pass in these cars.
Yes, they do indeed. So Alan Brown's game crashed, and he's going to try and get in for the last race. So we do have a little bit of a server reset. I'm going to try and grab a driver and see if we can have a quick chat between the races. I closed Discord down because I was smart at that moment in time. So if you bear with me, we will try and pick out a driver. There he is. Mr.
Faster!
Yes, you knew that was going to come. How did you manage to pull that one off on the last last straight?
I'm hearing 2 James because I had the stream on. Okay, that was good. Yeah, I pulled it off, man, because I didn't do the lap with the push to pass, and then I just left it for the last corner. On the outside as well, it was longer, so yeah it worked out.
Fernando Alonso and Sergio Perez Mark III. We had one in race 2 as well. Race 1, so that was a photo finishing crossing the line there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a picture for social later. That was great. Yeah, great racing. It's good fun, these cars.
Yeah, they absolutely are. So, what's your fear or hope for the final race? Is that what's your position going to be? Are you hoping to be 6th or 15th?
It's random, isn't it? It could
Yeah.
be first as well.
Well, no, it's it's
No,
a random
top
position
5 are
between.
definitely going to be down.
Yeah, it's a random
Yeah,
position
I
between
think
6th and
7.
15th.
7.
That's
Oh yeah, 6 and 15. 7 then, 7.
You're hoping to be 7th, right? Well, best of
Yeah,
luck
let's
for
go.
race 3. Well done for that epic conclusion to race 1.
That was great, yeah. Bye-bye.
Cheers, bye.
Faster!
Having those bloody buttons.
Mr. Goodway,
Hello.
are you alive? What the hell happened to you at the start of race 1?
Oh,
I don't know. The car had bogged, and then it wouldn't go anywhere. And then, yeah, so I was in the middle of the pack, and then
well,
I don't know what happened.
You think it might have been
Yeah.
a bit of wheel spin and then just bogged down because of it?
Yeah, and then I got taken. I don't know if I got taken out, but someone definitely. I saw a Vauxhall anyway when I was going towards on the last corner. But yeah, so it was like, what's the word? Just recovery drive after that, really.
Yeah, so you've been put on the back foot for race 1 and race 2. So you finished.
Yeah, what was it? I started ninth.
Yeah, and you
race
finished
2.
4th.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah, so I
got
made
yourself back
some
into
places.
you got yourself definitely back into the reverse grid section.
Yeah, trouble is, after so long, the tire, especially on the front wheel drive, the tires just die. So that first corner, it's a struggle to get around it
Yeah, we were
at
talking
a
about that
steady
as well.
pace.
The tyres, once you got back up into 4th, basically survive until you could get to the end. It didn't look like you were making much more gain.
Yeah, because I use so much getting up to there. That's the trouble. But race 3 to go, so see what happens.
Did we lose James?
Yes, you did, because I muted my microphone. What's your hope for starting position for race 3 then?
Somewhere towards the front. That'd be good.
So Keddy wants 7th.
I'll take first. That's fine.
Yeah.
Nah,
Okay.
you can't get first.
The
You're in
highest
the reverse grid regardless.
the highest you can get, I think, is 3rd. But I don't know what positions the random point is going to be from.
It depends on what it gives you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
Well, best of luck for
See
race
what
3,
happens.
and hopefully some more overtaking. Well, less overtaking for you, potentially.
Hopefully there's a clear track in front of me. That'd be good.
Yeah. Good luck.
Cheers. See ya.
Bye.
So
Right.
currently we have 16 people in the server.
Mhm.
And that's it.
Well, we got 6 minutes to go until the start of the race, so I'm going to mute us and leave our wonderful spectators with some lovely music while we take a short break.
Yes.
Right, we are back once again. We've got a couple of drivers to join us on the grid. Try and get rid of that screen. There we go. And we are almost ready to get going.
And we're away.
And we are away. Massimiliano Ferrari on the front row of the grid.
Got a hell of a start, by the way.
With my game. Oh, we got Tom and Massimiliano having contact at the front of the grid. Rudolph managed to get the lead. Tom just managed to avoid the wall on the right hand side. Dan Davis is already up to third place.
Chris Jones has just crashed out. He was involved with that Tom Brunel.
Yeah.
As with them, and he couldn't recover.
Yeah. Right, as soon as more than 4 cars appear on my screen, it wants to cry. Sergio Azario in 5th place, looking at the inside. Oh, he's made contact with Dave Goodway and goes sliding across off the track, and has lose multiple positions. A little bit of a dangerous rejoin from by Sergio, but he's back up on track and in 10th place. We have Massimiliano Ferrari in 4th place at the minute. Leading the train of Tom Brunel, Marco Keddy, as Keddy is going absolutely fly-by monkeys on the inside, breaks it quite late, or that was Tom braking quite late, maybe allowing Keddy through, and Keddy's squeezing on the inside. Oh, he's gone! Yeah, that was awful from Keddy. Yeah, he went for a move, or a position that definitely wasn't there on Massimiliano Ferrari, and fortunately Massimiliano is still on track, and Keddy is the one that loses out. So he is now trying to get back on the track through turn 1. Dan Davis has set the fastest lap of the race, and he is the driver in 1st place. He's being put under pressure by Rudolph, and Dave Goodway is the driver behind. He's going up the inside of Rudolph, and he looks as though he potentially makes that move stick. He will have to drive on the inside line through Graham Hill Bend, and he has definitely got P2.
He's also set the fastest lap now as well.
Yes, he definitely has. He has set the fastest lap of the race.
He set his sights on Dan Davies.
Yeah, so Dan must be absolutely setting the championship alive. Apart from Tidor has finished in the top 2 for the first 2 races, he's been the most consistent runner. Tidor Ivanov is currently in 15th place. So that reverse grid for him has definitely not worked out in the slightest. He's now coming on to the back of Barry Dunn, who had an interesting time of it, shall we say, in
best lap for Ivanov, 47.5.
It is indeed. He's now going to try and take 2 drivers into Druids. He definitely gets 1, and he's got 2, so he's now up into 12th place. That is a spectacular move. Chris Jones was the driver which we saw, which was off track. We've also got multiple battles going on across the track, but the main one is at the top of the tree between Dan Davis and Dave Goodway at the moment. They're separated by 300ths of a second. If you can keep an eye on everything else, that'll be fantastic.
So Anthony Jones is fighting 4th places now with
as Dave is going to try and go around the outside round Druids. Not going to be able to make that because Dan positions his car absolutely perfectly, and that move is not going to be made on this occasion. You can talk again now.
No, it's fine. I was just having a quick look. There's so many battles just now, it's hard to give you an idea of where to go. Anthony Jones, let's say, is still on Blue 8, but you've got Sergio was in the mix, and Federico McRae.
Yeah, we can see this
mix.
I see this fight for 4th at the moment between Louis, Johns, Federico, Sergio, and then you got Mark Stewart and Alan Bright a couple of seconds back on this fight.
So Sergio and Federico really just do each other at the moment. Sergio's washed out a little bit, still there.
Yeah, you can see Sergio just all over the back of Federico at the moment, just 0.2 of a second. We've got the view on the fight in front. We've got Dave Goodway still 0.4, 0.3 behind Dan Davis, so that fight's going to be brewing throughout the next couple of minutes. We've already had 5 minutes left. 5 minutes in this race. We've got Tidor with Martin Morell and Alan Palmer in the fight for 10. Tidor has to move out of the braking zone to make sure he doesn't make contact with the car in front. So Tidor definitely has the pace. He was the fastest driver on track. Now Dave Goodway is the fastest driver on track. So there is definitely...
Tidor's got a lot of work to do. He got put back quite far. He's in 11th place at the moment. He's only 3/10 away from Martin Morell. But he's slowly cutting his way through the grid. I don't know where he'll be able to get up to. I imagine he should be able to get to about 6th, 5th, what Dave was able to, but it's a tall order.
Yeah.
It's only 20 minutes.
It is indeed. That fight at the front between Dave and Dan is remaining quite stable. Then you've got this battle for 4th between Louis, Johns, Federico and Sergio going on as they're going through turn 1 and into Druids. But Johns doesn't seem to be able to get in the picture too much. It looks like they've dropped Sergio a little bit as well.
Sergio's been dropped. Federico Johns dropped past Federico.
Right. Okay. So Johns is looking is tempted.
Yeah, he's tempted to get by Louis. That's a one to keep an eye on. Which one are you keeping an eye on? I'll go to the opposite one.
So currently I am looking at this battle for 4th as Anthony Johns is now looking at the inside and has managed to make the inside move on Louis. Johns runs slightly wide, which has given Louis an opportunity to go back on the inside, and Johns is at risk of losing a place to Federico. No movement, no pass. They somehow remain status quo from what they were, but Johns definitely went for the move that time. There was a yellow flag in sector 1 as well. I assume that's further back down the grid, as we still got Dan Davis leading the way by 0.3 of a second over Dave Goodway.
Dave Goodway's been asked a question, but Dan's got quite an answer for one so far. Marco Keddy's got himself back up in
15th place and just a couple of tenths of a second behind Massimiliano as well, as we jump on board with them as Keddy takes the tighter line through the final corner, and I think he's managed to get that move stuck before the start-finish straight. No, he's not. He's got the inside line for turn 1 and he has managed to get it. So next on his radar will be Chris Jones, but back to the fight for 4th place, whilst keeping an eye on the fight for 1st place as well. But Louis currently leads away from Federico from Johns this time, so Federico and Johns have swapped places. Federico is going to try and go for the move around the outside into turn 1, and he looks as though he has managed to do that, or have I got the cars wrong way round? Yes, Federico has got the position. He's trying.
Oh dear, that's ruined everything.
Well, that's ruined their races. It looked as though Louis was trying to remove the space from Federico, I think to say, and then ended up moving too far across and tipping his car the wrong way round. So
it's Louis the one that failed.
Yes, he has indeed. So Federico is now in 4th place with Anthony Johns right behind him, Sergio Azario in 6th place. Then we've got...
This all worked out well for Randall, Rudolph. He's just sitting there on 3rd going, you guys, fight away.
Yeah, you lot kill each other, I'll get a tan. We've got Tidor Ivanov now making the move on Mark Stewart into Druids, and he has now moved up into 7th place. Next on his radars, a couple of seconds up the road, is Sergio Azario. Then we got Dan Davis has managed to stretch that gap to almost a second at the moment.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm not sure if.
Oh,
Dave Tyler's gone again.
John's Federico has made a mistake. He has gone spinning round. He is currently off the track, and that has given Anthony John's 4th place. Where is Federico? Federico is back on the track. He's facing the right way now, but he is all the way down in 13th place, with Marco Keddy just going through the final corner, incidentally. Marcin Morel is currently in front of Chris Jones. Tidor Ivanov is the front of this trio of Sergio Azario and Mark Stewart. So Tidor Ivanov has already moved up into 5th place.
I'm not sure what's going on with Dave Goodway, but he is now back to about a second and a half off Davis. So he's definitely something happened there. Tires are bad or something.
Yeah, well, he's obviously been pushing initially to get into this position. There is some lap traffic which they're coming up against now, which could also be an issue. Tom's 3 laps down, Barry's a lap down, Ferrari's a lap down. So I'm assuming this is Ferrari. Yes, it is. And Keddy has gone.
Federico,
Keddy's gone past Federico. So now I'm going to look at my timing board. Sergio Azario and Mark Stewart are 4/10, just under half a second between each other at the moment. So.
Yeah, these are the two that had a week coming together, and Mark ended up on his roof there.
Yes.
So we hope that doesn't happen again. Although it's great for the audience to see.
Well, I wouldn't mind catching it live this time, though.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it.
Well, I think you should have control of the main feed then, because I seem to miss all the action this evening.
No, because I'm bouncing around. You're watching normally. I'm bouncing around from one car to the next. Try to catch good fights.
Just what I want to say is quite interesting. You've got Dan currently at the front, top of the tree. Then you've got Dave Goodway 1.3 seconds, 1.2 seconds behind. Then you've got a huge gap of 11 seconds to Rudolph in 3rd. Before you've got Anthony Johns then coming.
Look who's under that.
Hmm?
Look who's just behind Johns pushing hard.
Yeah, Tidor.
Your friend Tidor.
Mr. Ivanov chasing down Anthony Johns. You've got Chris Jones and Marcin Morel. So Marcin Morel has gone up the inside of Chris Jones and has managed to claim 9th place. You've got Alan Brizzle Brown and not too far back. Chris Jones tries to go around the outside in Druids. That's not going to work out. And we got a yellow flag in Sector 2. Which quickly disappears. Yeah, that gap has gone to a yellow, but we've got Brizzle braking very late and almost collecting Chris Jones behind, but fortunately he did not. You've got Louis has got to the back of this group as well, so this is now a bit of 4-way fight for 9th place as Chris Jones goes drifting through the corner and just manages to keep it alive. He now drops to the back of that pack. Those tyres are going to be absolutely screaming after that, and just to add insult to injury, makes a little bit of contact with Louis. Louis is now back, is up and running in 11th place, but Marcin Morel is 8/10 ahead of Alan Brown. Alan Brown searching for some consistency in this race. Dave Goodway has managed to bring his fight with Dan Davis to around about a second, so he's managed to claim about a second back on Dan Davis in the last lap or two as we're going into the last 5 minutes. Maybe he's using
Tedor's coming up on 4th.
He is indeed. Well, he's coming up on 4th and 3rd.
Yeah, Bob is. Well, yeah, because Tom's right there now. He's got Rudolph.
Rudolph?
Yeah, Rudolph. I don't want to say Rudolph, then I'll be thinking of a red nose.
I'm sure he appreciates that comment. So we are looking
He might
at.
live in a cold country, James, you never know.
I'm assuming from his surname he's French.
Yeah.
So it's both attacking and defending. Is Anthony John is the meat in the Tidor and Rudolph sandwich. I wonder if there's any mayonnaise going on. Hopefully they've buttered the bread, and we're going to have a feast of action. That was lovely commentary, pinging those three things together. Sandwiches and racing.
Watching McIntyre beating the rest of that one. Got Chris Jones and Marcel very close.
Anthony John, so Rudolph he's just been overtaken on either side of him, and then he makes contact. Oh no! Made contact with Anthony Johns and Tidor. Tidor was up in the air the last time I saw him. He is now turning his...
Doing the bits at the first corner, he's on the ground.
Oh!
Slightly unsafe rejoin onto traffic.
I wouldn't even say slightly.
He was not watching what was coming.
No, I don't think he cared.
It quite unceremoniously found out what was coming.
He's almost done it again. This time he stays a bit more over to the left, but now his car looks absolutely obliterated. Alan Brown has found himself in 8th place, fighting with Marcin, Keddy and Chris Jones. Chris Jones has had some adventures across various different parts of the track. Keddy's now going to look to try and go around the outside of Marcin, giving Brizzle a little bit of a reprieve for at least a moment at least. So 3 minutes left of this race. Keddy's going to try and go down the inside into Druids, and he has managed to make that one with a little bit of contact on the way in and the way out, but Marcin now drops to 10th place. Now Keddy is going to try and chase down Alan Brown before the well for him, he's hoping by the end of this lap, so he can then start to focus on Palmer, who's 4 seconds up the road, which I think might be a tall order unless a mistake has been made. But the Honda Civic of Alan Brown has got some damage, should we say?
Yeah, that, well, he was one of the ones that.
What? Brizzle went.
Try to give Keddy a lot of room and just threw it into the wall.
Yeah, he was trying to be too nice.
Yeah, his car was had a lot of damage because he was the first car when it came round that ran into them.
Yeah, so Brizzle.
That done him no good.
No, so Brizzle's now dropped back down into 12th place. Chris Jones and Federico are separated by 4/10. But the fight at the top of the grid, once again, we have a fight, hopefully till the end. It's now 0.8 of a second between Dan Davis and Dave Goodway.
Well, we get another over the line photographic evidence.
Well, I'm yet to see the photo for evidence of that finish, but
oh yeah, it was the laser beam that told us, wasn't it?
It was indeed. It was the laser beam that is automated timing systems. But now 0.3 of a second, so Dave is clawing that gap. Approximately 2 laps left, maybe.
About 2 laps. So if you're looking, you won't want to do it just now. Chance Davies will come back, or probably to the very last lap.
Yeah, is he going to do that push to pass? Use no push to pass on this lap, and then
use it all up in the next lap.
Yeah, unfortunately, the push to pass graphic doesn't work too well. Barry Dunn's is unfortunate. That Dunn is done for today. He has DNF'd. Dan Davis going.
He came into the last corner. It doesn't look as if it works as well as. All the cars that seem to use it don't seem to get as good an exit.
So this should be our last lap of race 3. We've got a little bit of traffic in front of us. as Keddy is now 0.7 of a second behind Palmer. Lap traffic kindly moves out the way on the left-hand side. You've got Brizzle, I think it's Alan Brown, just in front as we go through the Graham Hill bend. Bouncing across the curbs once again. We've got Dan Davis, we've got Rudolph. Rudolph's in a fight with Anthony Johns for 3rd place. It have been, to be honest, Rudolph has remained in the top 3 for the majority of the race, but Dan Davis managed to get a nice clean exit. This race will finish here with Dan Davis claiming the win from Dave Goodway in 2nd place. Let's see if Rudolph manages to hold on. He does look as though he has from Anthony Johns as they're going through the final corner, but Anthony Johns is going to try and put the power down, take a very wide line. I think Rudolph Barreau has claimed podium, and that was well deserved from Anthony Johns in 4th place. Sergio Azario and claims 5th place.
He had to try and get 7th in the last corner.
Well,
couldn't quite make it.
So yes, Sergio Azario in 5th. Then we got Mark Stewart in 6th. Alan Palmer in 7th. Marco Keddy in 8th. Has already dived into the pits. Marcin Morel in 9th place. 10th place is Federico. Chris Jones in 11th. Alan Brown in 12th. Louis in 13th. Then we got Tito in 14th. Might feel slightly disappointed with the result from race 3, with Tom Brunel in 16th place. Barry Dunn, as mentioned, was the unfortunate DNF. But full praise to Dan Davis. Was going to be the bridesmaid, but turned out to be the bride in race 3.
But we enjoyed tonight's race. It was good to watch.
Well, that's the thing about these cars. They provide some absolutely epic racing action, as Dan doesn't realise the car isn't ghosted in rFactor 2. Whew. Well, I've just managed to catch my breath a little bit, but that was absolutely insane.
Yes, that was good fun.
I
enjoyed watching that.
Don't forget.
Kind of glad I wasn't racing though. I'd rather have watched that than probably raced on it.
It was a pleasure to have your company as well, Derek. Don't forget, we are back again at the same time. Well, I think it might just be me next week.
It's just you next week. For
Croft on November the 14th. Then we go to Donington Park on November the 21st. Then we go to Knockhill on the 28th of November, with it all finishing off at Alton Park on the 5th of December. I'm sure you will all be here to join the journey. I've been the Pink Pig, and I've been joined by Dirty Derek himself. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's been a pleasure.